So I bought the wrong tub?
So you probably bought the wrong tub. This is actually going to be one of the biggest mistakes that first-time livestock owners actually make on their farm.
Uh-oh. Homesteading is hard, especially when you have no idea what you're doing. 10 years ago, I planted my very first seed and picked up my first tool. I had never even had a dog or a cat. And 4 years ago, we moved our 1-acre farm to a 30-acre farm. And I still kind of have no idea what I'm doing, but I love reading and asking for help. And to that end, I've invited my friend Karson, who is a 6th-generation farmer, a soil and animal nutrition expert, to come and tell me how I'm doing. Okay, Karson, why don't you take a look at what's going on around here and give me a grade?
Perfect. So the first thing you're gonna look at, Ann, when we're trying to evaluate how your cows are doing, is first their poop, second their hair coat. So let's do that. Let's find some good poop to look at.
There's plenty of it.
Then we'll look at their hair coat and we'll kind of see how your cows are doing.
Perfect. Let's go.
Okay, Ann. So what you're actually gonna look at here when you're looking at their manure is first the shape of the patty. This will tell us if they have enough protein or not enough protein or too much protein.
Okay.
So if a cow has not enough protein, this pile would be a big, tall pile and look extremely dry.
Oh, interesting.
If they had too much protein, it'd be like a wet mess that had no structure to it.
Okay.
And this is showing me that they have just about the right amount of protein.
Now, like they're eating grass. Where's the protein coming from?
Well, it's coming from the grass.
Okay.
You know, even dry hay will have protein in it.
Yep. Oops, are you getting...
No, he's just like getting me a little bit. He's being nice. He's just checking me out. So anyways, the protein comes from the feed you're feeding, like hay. Even hay will have protein in it.
Okay.
Then also you're supplementing a protein supplement, which we'll check out a little bit later.
Yep.
But that's where the protein's coming from. And also, even though this looks like dry grass, this green grass here has a good amount of protein in it.
So cool. So like a round patty, flat, not tall.
Not tall and dry.
Yep.
But you also see these little tiny things of hay that are grass that have been, you can see just little tiny partial pieces of hay. If they're like a couple inches long, you are having digestion issues. These look perfect.
All right, well, cool. I mean, there's another pile like right here, actually. Should we look at this one? And this one looks really different.
The reason I think that it looks so different is it's probably from one of your younger animals, just by the way it's like clotted together instead of a patty as much. Younger animals, their gut works just a little bit different, so I would be judging off your cows, not so much your calves.
Like the adult cows,
Yeah, the adult cows, because you can see they look completely different.
How's his pee look, by the way?
Oh, that's beautiful pee.
Okay, good.
Just the right color.
Yeah, good to know. This evaluation comes with a free back massage too, so just so you know.
Yeah, it was actually a good massage.
Wow, we're in the middle of a tornado too. Woof, woof.
Ooh, not in Kansas anymore. So the next thing we're gonna evaluate, Ann, is their hair coat. Hair coat usually is one of the best indicators on how your animals are doing.
Okay.
The problem is we're kind of in winter right now.
Yeah.
Which winter hair coats make it a little more difficult.
Okay.
So let's look at a couple of your animals. Tell me their names.
Okay, so this is Ella here.
Okay, Ella.
And Ella was raised, like she's been raised here her whole life. She's my cow Reba's daughter. This guy, Willie Nelson, he just arrived.
Okay, perfect. So let's evaluate these two.
Okay.
So looking at this cow here, you can see, even though it's winter and her hair coat's a little longer, their hair coats can be completely different in winter than summer.
Oh yeah, totally. They get their summer haircut and they shed it all off, and then they're like
slick.
Yep,
and
slicked off, right?
So looking at her hair coat, her hair looks healthy and vibrant. You're not seeing really dull colors. Like, she looks really, really good. That's what your cow's coat should look like in the winter. You're doing good there. But let's look at him.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be a little different because he's a Highland cross, right? So his hair is gonna be longer and kind of more ragged. But you can see he's kind of got a little bit duller, muter colors.
Totally.
And I think that's probably because of his age.
Yeah, he's 12.
Yeah, he's 12, which is a good age for a bull. So like for him, he's not doing near as well as she is.
Yep.
That comes from he's new to your place.
Yep.
He's learning your nutrition program, and he's a little older.
Yep.
But overall, I think they look okay. There's not anything you're seeing that's like concerning here.
That's the dream. Because I've been in and out of a lot of different therapy offices over the years, I know the struggles that so many people have trying to figure out if their insurance is taken or trying to find availability. And BetterHelp, the sponsor of today's video, helps to eradicate a lot of those issues because you literally fill out a survey online. You can find a therapist within 48 hours. You can schedule your appointments on your phone, and then you can actually have your appointments right there from your phone or your computer as well. For the last several months, Monday evenings at 9 p.m. are when I meet with my therapist from the convenience of my own office. I make a cup of tea and I sit down and we chat about life. And because of that, my therapist actually almost got to see some goat births of her very own when, you know, the goats didn't really follow the schedule like they should have. If you're struggling and you need to talk to somebody about it, check out BetterHelp. And if you go to betterhelp.com/animaltrades, you will get 10% off of your first month of therapy. Okay, Karson, this is Otis and this is Duke.
So their hair coats looks a little ragged, but I think that's mostly coming from the fact it's winter, not because they're like in poor health.
Okay.
One of the things you can tell is just by the color, and they're not like a muted color or anything like that.
So like, if it's like dull looking as opposed to like, you know,
vibrant, colorful, like look how dark, rich red he is, and that's part of his coloring, but like it's a vibrant color. It's not a dull color.
Totally.
So like on a black cow, you can tell because they'll be like more of a brownish color than a black. So that's kind of how you tell. Oh,
Duke's
you're a good boy.
Duke's a very good boy. He was a twin, actually, believe it or not.
You can tell he's really wild, too.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
You can tell he's been licking himself. That's also a good sign that they're content and happy.
Oh, I like happy animals. Well, Duke, you get, what would you give him, like a? I
would give him probably like a B+.
All right.
He's doing really good. Well above passing, huh? He might even be better. Let's go A-.
Well, we don't have to, you know, we can grade on a scale here.
Okay, he's doing awesome. Overall, they look really good. The only one I would keep my eye on is Willie Nelson.
The bull, little Willie.
And I really just think part of it's just his age. So I wouldn't be too worried, but just keep an eye on him.
Okay, we will do that.
Do you want to go over by your mineral tub?
Yep. So let's go talk minerals. All right, I literally didn't even know what a mineral tub was, but the guy at the co-op told me I needed a mineral tub for the winter. And so I was like, great.
One of the biggest mistakes that first-time cow owners make is they buy the wrong tub. And it's kind of an expensive purchase. Like, these aren't cheap.
Oh yeah, this is like, I think this is like $150.
Yeah, so it's not like it's like a small purchase to mess up on.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to have like good, healthy cows that are like sustainable on your land, you're probably going to want to buy the right one.
Okay, well, tell me, did I buy the right one or not? Let's look at the, where's the label?
So, Ann, looking at here, so very typical that the first things that are going to be in it's molasses because it's a molasses tub, right? But as you go down the list, one of the things you notice is one of the top ingredients on the list is urea.
Is urea like the same thing that's in our pea?
Yep, it's also a nitrogen fertilizer. It's not really built to be a cow feed.
Oh, so I bought the wrong tub?
So you probably bought the wrong tub.
Whew, okay.
So one thing to look at, like a quick cheater to know if you bought the right tub, is if you're getting above 20% protein on a tub, it's probably got urea in it.
Okay, so this is a 24% tub, and actually the blue things that I use all over the farm are from the 16% tubs. Is that a guaranteed indicator or no?
It's not a guaranteed indicator, but it's a good indicator.
Okay.
Like another way is usually tubs that they'll put like the word AN after for all natural. That will oftentimes not have urea. But also check your ingredients.
Yeah, totally.
It's usually going to be one of the top ingredients. See if it says urea. If it's urea, my opinion is go to the next one.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, like, the thought that what's in our pea is also a protein, which is also like a nitrogen fertilizer. Like, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I never really thought about things that way.
Yep. And like I said, there is a function for it, and it'll function, but your cows are not going to be in like their natural state when they're using urea.
Okay. Is there anything I need to take into consideration? Like, they have this tub, should I take it away? Like.
No, I wouldn't take it away, because right now you could see your cows are like at the right level of protein.
Yep.
But you'd probably be at the same level if you were using the 16% that had all natural proteins compared to a 24% that had urea. Another thing to consider with protein tubs like this, Ann, is in the spring when your grass is like really growing fast and it's really rich, that's a time to actually take the protein tub away. Because the grass is going to be really protein rich. So that's why we actually look at the manure, so we can be reading what the cows have going on inside their guts.
Oh, sure. So like I do rotational grazing, and so when there is fresh grass, like the first day that I put them on the fresh grass, like they like all get diarrhea for a day and then it resolves itself. Is that like what's causing that?
Too much protein. So what they'll do is they'll go in the pasture, get the highest protein feed, and then they'll get the runs, and then they'll kind of go on lower protein feed. But yeah, take this away once you start getting into like good grass season. All
right, so already from the things you've told me, I'm now looking at Willie Nelson in a different way, because I saw the place he came from, like they were doing things absolutely right, and I was like really confident about like the health of their other cows. But now that I am looking closer at him, he does look like significantly rougher than all the rest of the animals here.
Yeah, it's something you can see and something you should be always paying attention to. It's going to be one of the first signs that something's not quite right.
And so like, is this something that could be like mitigated in any way with minerals or with like something else that I could do? Or is it literally just like, what would I do about it?
Yeah, I think that one of the keys is actually to make sure that they're getting other minerals just than free choice, like a mineral tub. So do you have another place that you're actually giving them other minerals?
So therein lies the thing. I actually thought this was fine for the winter, like because they have it, but then I have been taking it away in the spring, and then they have kelp meal, they have Redmond minerals, number 10 fine salt, the bentonite clay, and the garlic one that helps them with the flies.
So one thing to remember, Ann, that one of the most important minerals, even in the winter, is going to be your salt.
So they need that like year round, and there's not enough in there for them?
Yeah, there's probably not enough in the mineral tub. So when you have mineral tubs out, also have free choice salt.
Well,
and that
lesson learned.
That would probably help him quite a bit.
Really?
Yes. Salt is probably the most important for the metabolic functions in the animal.
And here we've been told for the last 30 years that salt is bad for your heart.
Salt is something that no one is talking about, and probably the reason is there's just not a lot of money in it.
I mean, that makes sense. Like this costs $150. That much salt would probably cost like what, 15 bucks?
15 bucks, yeah. So
follow the money. Follow the money. All right, Karson, the guy who helps me cut my hay says that my grass and my soil in this pasture could definitely use some improvement. And I'm doing my best. I'm doing the rotational grazing stuff. I'm trying to do stuff, but do an evaluation on my soil and my grass and tell me what I need to do.
Okay, let's check it out.
All right, Karson, be gentle. I'm doing my best here.
Okay, let's look at your grass.
Let's do it.
So, one thing that I'm seeing is that most of your grasses that are in that are legit grasses look like they're just fescue.
Oh yeah, fescue's a big deal around here. According to the lady at the co-op when I was trying to buy my grass seed, fescue is all any farmer needs, and cows love it, and that's all I should plant.
And I think that's like a mistake a lot of people make, is that they'll go in and like, this one variety of grass works so great in my area, so I'm just gonna plant one variety.
Yeah, that sounds like a monocrop.
Yeah, even though it's supposed to be pasture, right? There's a couple things you have to be careful with that. One of them is most grasses either are a cool season or a warm season grass. So cool season grasses will grow in the spring and the fall really well. And when it gets really hot, they go more dormant. Warm season grasses grow when it's really warm.
Makes sense.
Wouldn't it kind of make sense to have a mixture of both of them?
One would think.
The other thing is you want to add more than just grass. So like clovers, legumes. And the reason you want to do that is for fixing nitrogen. There's a lot of reasons. Diversity for grazing for your cows. Because we just learned that cows will go out and they'll pick the best quality of feed, right? So wouldn't we want to have the most variety so they can do that?
Yeah, totally.
The other thing I'm seeing is you do have a fair amount of weeds. And most people would be like, oh man, weeds, how are we going to get rid of weeds? Should we spray them, etc.? Weeds don't bother me too much.
Not even cockleburs?
Well, they bother me when they get stuck in like my dog's hair.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they're like literally
they're all
over
over you. They don't bother me too much because it's probably just nature trying to heal itself.
Sure, that's what it does. If you have a bare patch of earth, like something will come up, right?
I like to call it nature's cover crop will come up. And like for instance, cocklebur, it's gonna come in some places that are really, like it'll come in bare soil.
Okay.
And places with poor drainage. So it's trying to fix the soil so that you fix those problems.
Okay, that makes total sense.
But overall, I think you have a good start because you actually have the ground covered pretty well. I think the main thing you're going to do is just add some more diversity, and that'll make a big impact on what you can do with your soil here.
So like just plant more species?
Plant more species, and then once you do that, plant some more, and then you'll be good.
Okay. Another thing that people have recommended around here is that I either burn the field or till the field and like just completely replant. Is there anything that you would recommend? Like, should I till it?
My recommendation on that is no.
Okay.
Tillage is always a tool you can use, but you have a really good start, so I would not do that. Burning is always an option too, but you have something even better. It's called a cow that will take this rough feed and turn it into manure, which will then feed your soil, which will then help it out. So you're doing it within nature's cycle instead of like doing a cycle that works best for you.
Okay, cool.
You can also use something that will like help stimulate the soil.
Like fertilizer?
Like you know, fertilizers actually sometimes do the opposite as much as we think. But one thing I'd recommend is the Redmond Mineralite products because they are a great boost to not only the soil microbes and biome in the soil, but also give the plant a big boost and so that the plant quality goes up.
Okay, so like I have 18 acres of pasture here. Like, is that going to be an insanely expensive thing? Like, I mean, am I going to take like tons of little bags and like put them in my little seeder, or like how does that work if you're gonna remineralize a whole pasture?
That is a great question. You can either, if you have a small area, just use small bags that you can buy online and ship. But if like a large area, we can send it to you in a tote, like a tote bag, 2,000 pounds.
Like on a pallet or something?
Like on a pallet, then you put it in like a little spreader and spread it out. Okay.
Well, there you have it. I literally had this question for the last 4 years because I truly did not know how to go about doing that. I wanted to. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know like what tool to use, but now we do.
Now you do.
My other really big question is whether I need a barn or not, because all the locals here would tell you like cows don't need a barn, but I feel like they do, and I would also like to build one, but I also don't have a ton of money. So like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, my opinion is barns are very helpful and they can really help with shade, but the main thing is you want to do it cheaply because you could also cause yourself a lot of problems spending way too much money on your barn.
Oh, I have some experience with that. Why don't we take a quick field trip to Tyler's and we'll take a look at her barn and talk about like if I were to do something like that, what you would recommend.
Perfect, let's do it.
Okay. Okay, Karson, this is Tyler's Dairy Barn. This is where we do our dairy business. And I just brought my cow cheddar in so that we can look at cute animals while we talk about like using what we've got to get where we need to go. So let's go on in. When I was showing you this barn, Karson, you were telling me that you just absolutely loved the utility of this building. I think so many homesteaders getting started think that they can't get started because they don't have enough money to do things the way that I think a lot of YouTubers show it. And so, yeah, look around and tell me what you're seeing.
So some of my favorite things is how you've made like your stanchions over here out of literal 2x4s, and it looks like maybe some scrap lumber from around the farm.
Oh yeah, there is no first used wood anywhere in this building.
And that, just like if you look around the building, everything is reused. This looks like an old cedar or something.
Yeah. All the posts in the barn were literally just cedar trees that, bark stripped off and used as posts. And then all the lumber, like the walls, the roofing and everything, you'll notice like nothing is the same size. It's all just like cedar seconds from the local mill.
Yeah, and like you said, some of the biggest investments we make when we start our homesteads is on infrastructure. And if we do something like this first, it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah. We're actually standing on a new and improved concrete floor. We saved up for the last 4 years to put in a new floor and to make some other improvements that would just make things better for us and for the cows while we were milking. Cleaning the floor, sweeping when the cows would like poop on it and stuff, like on the cracked concrete, was so difficult. And so it's like, yeah, I'm super pumped about this new floor. It's real fancy. Even the milk room, where like everything has to be really clean and temperature controlled. I mean, this was an old walk-in freezer that, like, you know, Tyler just figured out how to put back together, and it works great. It doesn't have to be pretty or perfect to work. It just has to work.
Function over form.
Absolutely. What do you think better, Cheddar? Are you licking everyone's bowls clean?
She is.
She's like,
She's like, there's not enough now.
Okay, well, I'll go get you a little scoop of food, okay, buddy? Chaff hay for you, milady. Okay, well, and actually, since I have my animal nutrition expert here, let's talk a little bit about Cheddar. You know, she had a surprise calf very, very early, less than ideal in every regard. And she wasn't dam raised, which is what we prefer. But like, what can we do to help her out a little here?
I think one thing you have to realize is we're talking about a dairy cow instead of a beef cow. So when you look at her, you might think, oh my goodness, she's skinny.
Yeah.
But that is what they're genetically bred to be. They're not genetically bred to be fat. So overall, like, her conformation and being a little skinny, that's a normal dairy breed animal is going to be like that. I think the keys is just to make sure she has enough access to good quality hay.
Yep.
Like your chaff hay that you're feeding her.
Yep.
And then
we
also
love our chaff hay around here.
It's great stuff. And then also make sure she has access to her minerals. Mm-hmm. I think she'll be just fine.
Okay.
She'll just catch right up and be just fine.
If they're having like poor rumen function and everything, do you have anything to do for that?
Yeah, I would usually recommend putting, you called it earlier, the bentonite clay, which is called Redmond conditioner.
Okay.
And the reason is it helps with rumen function, but it'll also help with acid problems and toxin binding. It does a lot of really cool things. So if I was having like function problems on my cows, that's one thing I'd go to.
You said that was basically like the cow version of Tums, right?
Yeah, because your cow's stomach doesn't, they have multiple stomachs that don't work off acid to break things down, so too much acid causes a lot of problems.
Okay.
So this will come in and like buffer, we call it buffering, but that's just like taking Tums. It takes care of your heartburn.
Huh, that's so cool. See, we are gonna get real nerdy with this stuff. Have you ever heard the old wives' tale about the rudimentary teats? She has 6 teats, which everyone always said was like would create a lot more butter fat.
Right. I haven't heard that one, but usually there's a lot of truth to the wise tales. I always pay attention to like when people say, Grandpa used to say this.
Okay.
Because there's usually more truth to that than you know.
Well, I mean, I quote my grandpa a whole lot on this channel, so I love hearing that.
That's awesome. So Ann, I see you're doing rotational grazing. Mm-hmm. So do you actually know what the cows per acre that people can run in this general area is?
I asked the people at the co-op how many cows I could have for like the land that I have, and they say it's a 1-to-1, 1 cow per acre.
Well, that's pretty cool, because that's very important, because everywhere in the country is different. Where I run my cows, it could be like 1 cow to 139 acres.
Wait, 139?
Yeah, I live in the desert, so it could be a little bit different. People are usually running in the thousands of acres, not in like 1 to 2 to 3 acres. It's in the thousands usually.
I literally can't even imagine what that's like. Another just question I have for you is, do you have some special way to set up your rotational grazing fences? Because I'll definitely say that it takes me about 10,000 steps because I can't carry very many of these at once. I'll put them in the back of the UTV or whatever, but then I'll have to still walk back up the hill and then get the reel and unreel all the wire. And then I have to go get the charger, and then I have to come back down to the bottom and hook everything up and turn it on. And so I'm sure that there's probably a more efficient way to do this. Do you have one?
I do. And I like that you asked that, because it's one of the reasons people stop rotational grazing, because they start doing that and they're like, I'm not gonna do that today. I'm too tired. I'm just gonna take the reel down and we're done. Oh
yeah, when it's 100 degrees outside and 80% humidity, I definitely, the first thing I wanna do in the morning is not run up and down this 30% grade hill. carrying a bunch of stuff.
So let me grab your reel
Okay.
and some posts and let's take a look.
Okay, cool.
So here's the problem. It's really hard to be able to like hold this and be holding a bunch of posts at the same time.
Oh, there's no way.
Like, it's impossible. So here's one way that I found. You just put it right here on the back of your belt.
Oh, like you've got yourself a little tail.
Yep.
Oh
and
my
then,
gosh.
And then as you go, you could be carrying
no
these.
way.
And you might have to make some adjustments to this, right? You might need to add some stuff. You can put this in the ground, and then as you're doing it, then you can just kind of reach back here and grab it as you go by, put the fence in.
Dude, you just saved me like 10,000 steps.
Just make sure you wear a good belt.
I guess I'll have to get one of those.
Yeah, there you go. Then you're just walking, you're carrying the things, and you're putting it down as you go.
Well, then my question is, like, does Premier One sell special belts for this?
They better start. So speaking about rotational grazing, what I actually run into as I travel across the country is people have a problem with their watering system. That's the biggest barrier for people starting to rotational graze.
Oh, 100%. Water has been the bane of my existence since we moved here. So there's no hose spigots, there's no water anywhere. So for the last couple of years, what I've been doing is like I've been making lanes or pathways to one water trough that I can reach like a hose from the house to. And then I spend time filling waters every day. It's extremely inefficient. And because the lanes get so dusty in the summer from the cows walking over it, I mean, I had a calf who got summer pneumonia this year, and I was genuinely worried about like that in the future. So we have this 2-year-long project that I have just finally figured out how to get water down here. Like, this is previously a lot of buckets I had to carry all the time, especially, you know, in cold weather and stuff. But I just dug this little well, and it does not actually have a pump attached to it. It's an artesian well, and if I go downhill, the water works. But I still have no way to get the water up to the top of the hill, to the top pastures. So that's like basically half this now has water and half doesn't. Do you have any idea how I could get this up the hill or like do something more efficient than my hose thing?
Well, there's a couple ways.
Okay.
And when I'm gonna come at this, I'm always gonna be at an economical like level. We want it to be cheap, right?
Cheap and
is
easy.
the best.
Yeah.
So I think something like a ram pump would be a good investment.
Okay.
And the other thing that I'd maybe recommend is maybe just using like a, you know, like a 200-gallon IBC tote in the back of your pickup or on a trailer.
Okay.
That might be an inexpensive way, and it wouldn't kill you to carry the buckets anymore.
Yeah.
Just to take it up there, and then you could water them a couple times a day.
Oh yeah, that's really smart. I could just like make a little trailer for my 4-wheeler or something for the IBC tote and just then fill it with the hose.
Yeah, fill it with the hose and then go up to the trough, let the water out, and it would be pretty simple.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We like it that way. All right, the next big question I have for you comes to pigs, because this is my first year with pigs. I mean, we have a pet pig that we inherited from our neighbor, but I mean, raising pigs to raise pigs. So I have nothing but questions. However, I also did a pretty cool project I can't wait to show you using the pigs at the suggestion of our very wise neighbor.
Let's go check them out.
Yep. Okay, Karson, don't judge me too much as we come in here. This is the pig pen. Actually, my little chicken coop right there doubles as a pig pen at the moment because it's what I had and I needed to figure out something that worked.
That's part of owning livestock.
It sure is. Check
Cool.
this out. This is like maybe my proudest achievement on this property so far. This pond never held water until an old timer told me all you need to do is put some clay in the bottom and put some pigs on it. So that's what we did.
Coming from the desert, this like really impresses me because we try to capture every little ounce of water we can.
Absolutely.
So the other cool thing that you mentioned is that clay is one of the best ways to make it so your pond doesn't just evaporate or just go into the ground.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is not all clay is created equal.
Okay.
People all think that every bentonite clay is the same, but it's not.
What's bentonite clay as opposed to like our soil's clay? What's
Right. So bentonite clay is just a class or a family of clays.
Okay.
But within that, there's a whole bunch of different types of bentonite. There's calcium bentonite, sodium bentonite. So there's a lot of different bentonites.
How am I gonna find out if I put the right bentonite on my pond?
Well, I think it's important to actually find one. You know, you can always just go buy the local clay that's really inexpensive, but I think you need to find one that's like been tested for that purpose.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So one of the good ones is Pond Seal by Redmond. It's a great one. It's been shown that the swelling ability of the clay is like usually about 3 or 4 times higher than just normal bentonite clay.
So could I sprinkle the pond sealer on it and like have it float down in it, or is it too late?
No, I think that would probably work. The best way to do it's when the pond's empty, putting a layer, but that will also work. It's better than not doing any of it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of going back to the scale of things, like obviously everyone's like size of area is going to be different with like spreading minerals on the field or spreading minerals in the garden or like doing anything here. Like what kind of volume are we talking about for a pond this size?
It would actually be more volume than you'd think. I would think probably like 4 or 5 totes of like 3,000 pound totes would be what you would, that would be put a 1-inch layer. That's if that's if you want this pond to never leak again.
Yeah.
Like you can do it what your budget allows, but that's like if you want to do it one time and never have any other problems, you can do that way.
Holy moly. Okay, well, good to know. Hopefully it won't start leaking again. Hopefully I did put the right kind on, but if I didn't, we'll find out.
You know who to talk to, right?
Great. Okay, now I want you to actually look at my pigs and tell me about them.
Perfect.
Let's go. Okay, so this thing is a little worse for wear at the moment. It's in need of some minor repairs, which actually is why I took the chickens out in the first place. But then when I needed a really dry spot for the pigs because they had been so successful at turning this into a mud pit, I put a floor in there and just like filled it with straw. And as you can see, they're pretty cozy in here. And it's just kind of my favorite thing all of a sudden. But one thing what is happening here?
I think he's taking
a
a nap.
yawn. Oh my gosh.
He's just napping.
My biggest thing with animals is I want to be a good steward. I've tried to find as much information about like pig nutrition and everything else as I could find, but like, you know, for the cows we talked about minerals. Like I have a free choice mineral buffet for my goats. Do I need to have that for my pigs? Because I definitely don't.
Well, that's a good question. Actually, because of how pigs are fed and how they eat like a grain ration, usually the feed that's made for them has everything they need in it.
Oh, so they don't need like their own like salt licks or anything?
No, actually salt might be one that you could put out with them.
Okay. And
they'll eat it if they need it, but usually they formulate the ration to be exactly what a pig needs.
Oh, well that's good to know. Look at how cute they are. They're such good girls. I love these girls so much. They're like so gentle. I mean, like this is something that could absolutely kill me in a heartbeat. Like they're beefy babies, but they're so sweet. They know their names. Well, both of them are named Kevin Bacon, even though they're girls. This is Kevin Bacon Black Ears, and this is Kevin Bacon Pink Ears. And I am hoping. I just took an artificial insemination class, so we're hoping to have some baby piggies. But even thinking about that, that's why I'm thinking, like, how do I get them in absolute peak condition so that they're ready to get pregnant?
I think the key to that, Anne, is actually most pigs are formulated for like stages of their growth cycle. So like there'll be grower pig feed and there'll be finisher pig feed. So just make sure that you have the right feed for the cycle in which the pigs...
Like farrowing pig feed?
Yeah. Like make sure and talk to your feed store or your co-op.
Okay.
And that will kind of be your best thing. But just make sure you have the right stage of life.
Awesome. Well, that makes my life a whole lot easier.
That's one thing that's nice about pigs is they're not out on grass. You don't have to be guessing because they have it pretty well formulated for them.
Cool. Oh, gosh. If I had my whole farming life to do over again, I think I'd just do pigs and cows. I love my goats. The chickens are awful, as we know. I do love my donkeys too, but like, man, pigs and cows make life, well, I should say pigs and cows with the right infrastructure make life a lot easier. Literally, since I've put in the automatic waterers, like that has changed my life with cows like 1,010%.
Yeah, when you don't have the right infrastructure, it makes farming or homesteading miserable.
Totally miserable. Oh gosh, you guys are so cute. All right, we'll leave you alone.
Aww.
Sorry I disrupted your slumber.
That thing, when it was like yawning, was the cutest thing I've ever
I
seen.
know, it's so good.
So, Ann, we talk about fishing a lot.
Yep.
Are you gonna stock your pond, or what you gonna do with it?
Well, I mean, actually, that's a question I have for you, because obviously, as you can see, it looks a little bit like an advertisement for Giardia at the moment. So, like, is there, like, I want to put fish in it, that would be great, but, like, what should I put in it?
I think that's a good question, because just like your grass, you don't want to just go put one fish, because you want them
Totally.
to have different purposes. So I think something like maybe a catfish, and
Yep.
where you're in the warm climate, probably bass, something like that. That's what I would go with.
Okay, cool. Adam, we're gonna go buy some fishies. All right, Karson, you are the soil expert, and that's the real reason you're here. So what do you think? Should we grade my soil?
Let's do it.
Okay, we'll see you in that video. Cheers!